what inspired you to get into acting?
What matters is the story and how you craft it.
You answered a lot of the questions already with that one answer, so that's fine.
It was a dream come true to get to work with them, because I grew up watching a lot of these people, and I'm just like, oh wow, I'm now getting the chance to actually work with them, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And again, a lot of them, some of them said no at first, and we just were persistent until they finally said yes.
You eating?
Yeah. What do?
I lend people money. There's a lot of foolish people think they can take advantage of you. Soon things get ugly. It's nothing personal. Just strictly business.
May I remind you that these evaluations are part of your parole requirements. Hey, Mia, how's she doing?
Fine, I guess.
What's she up to?
Are you in some kind of trouble?
I owe some money for some big drug lord.
You better hurry up.
You're actual psychopaths who enjoy killing and torturing.
Give me my money.
I cannot pay you.
I said give me my money!
You want to blame someone? Blame the ones who put the drugs in her hand.
You're all she's got left.
Just get the debts paid.
Come on!
This is your last chance. When your clock's punched, your clock's punched. You do what you gotta do.
Please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on your favourite podcasting platform. Thank you.
Welcome to Film Forums. I have with me a special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Brian A. Metcalf. I am a writer, director, producer, most recently for the film Adverse.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about Adverse? What's the plot?
Sure. Adverse is about a rideshare driver who discovers that his younger sister has become entangled with a crime syndicate, and he has to do whatever he can to get her out of that situation, and whatever it takes to do, and the lengths of which he'll go to make sure that she's safe.
Okay. All right. Sounds exciting. So I take it that it's kind of a crime thriller sort of thing, yeah. Action crime thriller. Yeah.
Drama, thriller, things along those lines. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So how did you approach the action side of things in the film? Like, how did you bring that together?
So the action side of things, each section of action was to be done differently. We have one scene where it's a single take action sequence, and that's because when our lead character Ethan goes around and goes on sort of this rampage, because he sort of loses it in that sense. He just goes around inside the warehouse and killing a bunch of characters. So what we had to do is, I wanted to do, instead of doing a bunch of quick cuts, it wouldn't make sense because it would start to get boring. So that's why I went the route of going the single take shot for that one. And then for some of the other stuff where he's fighting some of the other characters, then we went with the more traditional route of cutting, and wanted to make sure that, you get a wide shot to make sure you know the geography of the area, and then you cut into the closer action shots for the quick action feel to it, if that makes sense as well, or the quick pacing of it. So yeah, each scene was orchestrated differently, I guess.
That's fantastic. So with your one shot scene, action scene, what were some of the challenges with filming that?
Well, obviously, because we had multiple different people in that thing, we had to rehearse it. So we spent the whole first half of the day just doing rehearsals over and over and over again to make sure that the timing and the choreography was down, and that the DP could also step around and, move and know how to get a feel for it. And we had to then reset and redo it over and over and over again. And then when we filmed it about 15, 16 times. And then of that, we finally got we got a good take out of that. that we ended up using. But it was a whole day of at least half the day of rehearsals and then half the day of just doing the take over and over again until we got it right.
Gosh, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
rehearsal was the biggest key then, making enough time to make sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what would be great is, or what would be frustrating, I guess, is that we'd have one take that would be so perfect and everything was going smoothly, and then the last person would forget to hit their mark, or we would stumble or something or other, and it would just be frustrating. So we just had to keep resetting and redoing it, and it required, a lot of patience to just get that shot right.
Absolutely. So in terms of action on a budget, how did you approach handling your budget to make sure that you could still, do the story justice with everything and with what you had,
Right. Well, again, you have to plan out and use what you can at your disposal when you're working with a budget, meaning obviously we knew going in that we obviously safety's first. And we needed to make sure there were a certain amount of stunt pads and that we had stunt performers and people who really knew what they were doing, and a lot of rehearsal time. Rehearsal is very key, especially when you're working on low budget action sequences and so forth from there, because you want to make sure that it's done over and over again and done right, that everyone knows to hit their marks and make sure that nobody is injured. We had a tire iron that was used, and we had multiple versions of it. We had a styrofoam and rubber foam tire iron. We had the real tire iron. We had just multiple different things that we used to make sure that that people wouldn't be injured. So if someone really whacked them, it would just feel like it would just bounce right back and so forth like that. And again, I think most importantly is to have patience and rehearsal time. Those are the two most important things that you have to have in place.
So how long did it take you to shoot this film then in total?
The film was shot in total 22 days.
Wow. Okay. That's fast. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So how many hours a day did you guys spend shooting then?
For the most part, they were 12-hour days, but there were certain days that we had a half day, certain days that we did, 8 hours and everything like that. But I would say the majority of them were 12-hour days. Okay. We did have one day that went a little over by like an hour or something like that, but everything else was, we tried to keep it 10 to 12 hours on average.
Okay. And in terms of casting, obviously you have an amazing cast on this one, like a very, very exciting cast. So how did you go about getting them involved and attaching them to the project?
We did everything, and this is what I mean to get our cast. It was through personal relationships, through myself and my producing partners. It was a casting director. It was everything. I mean, it was largely the casting director, but we did everything we could. My producing partner, Thomas Nicholas, he had friendships with certain cast as well, that he was able to reach out to them. It was just everything we could possibly, do to get out there. We reached out through social media. It's just, we were very persistent to get our cast.
Good. You need that though. You need that tenacity, I think, to make it happen.
Yes.
Having the right people on board is so important for making any indie film successful, I think. It sometimes can mean that you can't necessarily use new names, you know what I mean? But to have, such people on your cast to work with them, like that must have been kind of like a dream. When I saw the casting list anyway, I was super excited because I love them all basically. So
yeah, it was a dream come true to get to work with them, because I grew up watching a lot of these people, and I'm just like, oh wow, I'm now getting the chance to actually work with them, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And again, a lot of them, some of them said no at first, and we just were persistent until they finally said yes. So,
okay, that's really cool. I like that. So you obviously had people in mind for specific roles. Did you write it with specific actors in mind at all? Or, did you have like a certain group of people that you would want to play each role, sort of thing, that you approached?
Typically when I'm writing something, I write based upon just how the character is. I don't try to say, well, it's gotta be him, and I'm going to study this actor to make it match that person. That's typically not the case. I mean, I do that occasionally every once in a while, but most of the time especially for this one, I just wrote it based upon how it felt and how the characters felt, and based upon my own personal experiences. And a lot of the personalities were based upon people that I knew or I had met. And so, and this, I would think to myself, this is how this person reacted at this point and everything like that. And I based it off of that a lot of ways. So.
Great. Yeah. So in terms of your script development and things like that, how did you approach pitching your script once you knew what you had?
Well, at first, so they can get a general idea as to what it is that I'm pitching, I would say the type of genre it is. I would explain to them it's this meets this type of film, like it's whether it's Taxi Driver meets Goodfellas or something along those lines, or I'll typically go around and I'll say it's this type of film meets this type of film, and I'll also talk about the mood. I'll discuss the setting and the environment. I'll explain the emotions and the theme. There's a specific theme to this film, which is ultimately choices. Each of the characters make a choice, whether it's a good choice or a bad choice, and that's how you see what they've become or who they are based upon the choices that they've made. What
was your journey to making this film? Like, how did you come up to the point where you've gotten this, fantastic distribution? What I mean is, like, did you go to film school? How much did you do, like, behind the scenes, working on other sets? What was your journey? Because everyone's journey is different, what I mean? But it's interesting to know how people got to this point where they're able to get something that is, very high quality, great cast and distribution,
Right. So I started out, interesting enough, as a child, I was always watching films 24/7. I mean, I literally was watching films around the clock, and television around the clock. And eventually I got to reading scripts, and I knew that I wanted to do this type of stuff at a young age. And I would start drawing comic books because I couldn't afford a camera for some of the time, until I could eventually afford a camera. And then my parents bought me one at some point, or bought the family one, but I sort of stole it and started making little short films and little things with friends from there. I ended up going to eventually an art school that was focused on sequential storytelling. And then from there, I also took, I got certification in photography, learned everything I could about 35 millimeter. I learned everything I could about visual effects, and went to the Nominee School of Visual Effects after that, where I got to learn about, how everything's done inside of computers, and I got to learn more about lighting. I got to be on a lot of sets, just minuscule things here or there, just show up and hang out at different sets and locations. Eventually I got into the Directors Guild, and with the Directors Guild, one thing that got me was the ability to go to a lot of the seminars and learn about a lot of the stuff, the programs that they have, sit in and listen to a lot of the behind the scenes. And this is one thing that was really important for me is, and you can see it online, is obviously when you go to like see a variety roundtable of directors, or you see, just different things of directors talking, or behind the scenes, or watching a DVD and listening to the behind the scenes stuff, and hearing them talk with the commentary. Those are all really important. Eventually when I got into the Producers Guild and Writers Guild, I got into more events. I went up to a lot of actors, directors, producers, everyone I possibly could, annoyed the living crap out of them, and buried them with questions, asked them everything I possibly could. I would watch a film, and then I would get to talk to that director afterwards at an event, and I would ask him, how did you do this shot specifically, or how was this done, or everything like that. And it gave me a lot to learn from. And I started building myself a list of notes, and having my database of sort of seeing, okay, this is how this person did it, and this person did it. And I would go back and I would watch the films, and I would look at the notes and see how they did it. And I'd be like, okay, that's great. And I sort of break it down. And nowadays, what's funny is, whenever I'm watching a film, I can't watch it like a normal person anymore, because I'm always studying, how did they do this shot? What was the timing for this? What was done with this? Everything like that. And my experience getting to work as a creative director as well, I was formerly a creative director of a company. where we worked for the studios, and we did everything from trailers to EPKs to DVDs to Blu-rays, everything behind the scenes, all kinds of stuff like that. So that gave me an opportunity to work with a lot of the directors and also hone down skills like editing and everything from there and stuff. And then when I got to direct my film, after making my films and stuff, distribution is its own beast. And I had to learn a lot along the way about how it all works out and everything from there. Distribution, and I'm very thankful, obviously, that Lionsgate and Grindstone came on board for this project, because they're a fantastic home to go to. And it's always a difficult challenge finding the right distributor and who we believe in and everything like that. And we had some distribution offers, but we knew that Lionsgate would by far be the best company for us. And so it was just, a back and forth and discussion and researching what company we thought would be good for our film. And we knew Lionsgate could not only handle the mass distribution and get it out there to people and do justice to our film, but we also knew, obviously they have a name and everything like that. We knew they would do a better job for us than any other distribution company as well. So it's all research, I guess. Everything is research from start to finish. That's the common theme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, both sides of that are so important. One of the things that we're trying to do with Film Forums is, to give people that sneak peek that you got at the seminars, because except obviously this is free content, but I mean, it means that people can learn from your experience, and because there is so much value in that. There's so much value in hearing other people's stories and how they did it. In terms of your distribution, so did you approach distributors yourself and, blank that out, or did they come to you, or was it that you got a sales agent who pitched your film?
Well, it was a combination of everything, actually. But in particular for getting Lionsgate, I actually approached them, and I knew that I wanted to work with Lionsgate and Grindstone just because I've worked with Lionsgate in the past before. Anyways, but I knew that this was the type of film that they, again, based upon research and the type of titles they can release and do a really good job for, I knew that they would do a good job for this. So they were definitely on the top of my list to approach for this particular movie. And so we do have a sales agent who's handling international for us. And they're doing their job to basically reach out to buyers on an international side of things. And but for the domestic, this one was done through myself and through one of my partners and Ryan Black over at Grindstone. So that's how we put the deal together.
So you were just super proactive, really, yourself. Like
you have to be. You have to be proactive and aggressive. You can't just expect things to happen for you in this industry. You have to always be a go-getter. I mean, it's very rare. I'm sure there are probably occasional cases where someone isn't a go-getter and it just falls in their lap, but it's very, very rare. For the most part, if you want to succeed, you just have to be aggressive and get out there and do whatever you can to get your project out there.
Great, that's great advice, definitely. I think sometimes that's what a lot of people are missing out on. They might come out of film school and think, that it's going to happen overnight, and obviously it's not. It's usually quite a long journey for everyone, not just directing, but acting, everything. It all takes time to work your way up and to connect with the right people as well.
If you're going to be an actor, go to acting classes. If you're going to be a director, study the directors that you love and understand why they're so successful. Hopefully, you're studying the right type of directors out there, but everything is based upon research, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. And also you have to feel, not everything, because obviously when you're writing a script, you have to put your emotions and feelings into that, but you still have to understand, is this script, is it structured correctly? Is it properly set up? Is the cast or the actors properly, done in the right way, the characters and everything. So
what is it that you're thinking now then, for maybe your next challenge? Are you jumping straight into something else, or are you taking a break?
You can't afford to take a break. No, I'm working on several different projects right now. There's a couple TV series that I'm working on. and I'm developing. There's another film that I'm developing with a company called Disrupting Influence. That's also sort of a crime drama type film. I'm doing a fantasy TV series that I'm working on with a company called Amyali. There is another one that I'm working with Authentic Talent Productions. So just a variety of different things. And I'm doing, trying to expand into multiple genres, not just horror or thriller. I started out in horror and I moved, this is obviously more of a crime drama thriller. But then the next one that I'm working on, I'm working on comedy, I'm working on just everything that you can think of, straight dramas, everything, so I can just show that I'm not just pigeonholed into one specific film. So.
Absolutely. And all of the genres have a different style as well. And I think a lot of directors and actors as well sometimes can get pigeonholed into a specific genre or a specific character type maybe for actors. And I do think that that's quite sad, because obviously as a creative, you have so much more that you can do. So I think that's really good that you're trying to experience the other things, definitely. So any final pieces of advice before we let you go about the rest of your day?
Final piece of advice, I would say, aside from doing a lot of the research, is to always realize, to always be willing to learn. Even if it's from a PA. I had a PA mention something to me on set that there was something in the way of the camera. And I was like going, really good catch. And a lot of people might be like, I'm not listening to a PA or whatnot. But that's the thing is listen to everybody. Don't exactly do what everybody says, because whatever, but always get people's advice, hear what people have to say about the work. If you have a film, one thing we did was we showed our film to a ton of different people, and we got a bunch of different opinions on it, and it helped make the film better. Things that people were confused about, or they didn't understand the timing of, or whatnot. So definitely it's a creative process where it's definitely a lot of people can come in and help you out and stuff, and just don't be afraid to keep learning and moving forward.
Thank you. That's great. And just lastly, do you want to tell us where people can see your film?
Right now it is currently in theaters. You can go to adversethefilm.com, and on March 9th it comes out on SVOD and DVD and online everywhere. Everywhere that Lionsgate puts it out at, it'll probably be in like Redbox and all those different places and stuff. So March 9th for that.
If you are still with us, please do hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment. Let us know if you enjoyed this interview.
Please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on your favourite podcasting platform. Thank you.